March 19, 2026, 2:50 in the morning, over central Iran. An F-35A Lightning II was flying a combat mission, the most advanced fighter jet ever built, a $100 million aircraft designed from the ground up to be invisible. Radar-absorbing materials, carefully managed exhaust, internal weapons bays. Every design decision made around a single principle: the enemy cannot shoot what the enemy cannot see. At 2:50 in the morning, Iran shot it. The pilot suffered shrapnel wounds. The aircraft made an emergency landing at a U.S. base in the Middle East. CENTCOM confirmed it. Air and Space Forces magazine confirmed it. IRGC released footage they said showed the intercept through a forward-looking infrared system. And in newsrooms around the world, the headline wrote itself: "Stealth is dead." Except it is not. And understanding why requires understanding the one thing the F-35 was never actually designed to hide from. The F-35 is invisible to radar. That sentence is almost accurate, and that near accuracy is where the misunderstanding lives. More precisely, the F-35 has an extremely low radar cross-section. It reflects only a fraction of the radar energy that conventional aircraft return. To a radar-guided surface-to-air missile system, it looks less like an aircraft and more like a bird, or background noise, or nothing at all. That is the advantage stealth provides. Not invisibility, reduced detectability to radar specifically. Radar works by transmitting energy and measuring what comes back. The shape, materials, and coatings of the F-35 are all designed to scatter that returning energy away from the transmitter. Less return means a smaller, less reliable track. A radar-guided missile following a degraded track loses its solution and goes ballistic. But radar is not the only way to find an aircraft. An aircraft flying at combat speed generates heat. The engines burn and the airframe heats from friction. The exhaust plume is significantly warmer than the surrounding air. All of that heat radiates outward as infrared energy. Infrared sensors do not transmit anything. They simply observe. Passive infrared systems have no emission to detect, no signal to jam, no frequency to suppress. They sit silently and look for heat. The F-35 was not designed to hide its heat signature the way it was designed to hide its radar signature. Managing infrared emissions is significantly harder than managing radar cross-section. You can shape an aircraft to scatter radar, but you cannot shape away the exhaust of a functioning engine. Infrared signature reduction exists on the F-35, particularly in the engine exhaust management, but it is not the primary design priority. Radar stealth is. Iran has known this for years, and Iran has been building around it. After watching the Houthis use passive infrared systems to down MQ-9 Reaper drones in Yemen, Iran invested heavily in infrared search and track systems known as IRST. These systems do not emit radar. They scan the sky in the infrared spectrum and build a track based on heat alone. Analysis of the March 19th incident points to the Majid system, an infrared-guided surface-to-air missile that homes on heat rather than radar reflection. Against a radar-guided system, the F-35 is exceptionally difficult to engage. Against a passive infrared system, the F-35 is a hot engine moving through cold air. The physics does not care about radar cross-section. This is the equation Iran solved, not how to defeat stealth, how to route around it. Here is why that distinction matters. Radar-guided systems dominate global air defense. The S-300, the Patriot, and the majority of surface-to-air systems all use radar guidance in some phase of the engagement. Stealth was designed to defeat the dominant threat, and it works. Over 3 weeks of Operation Epic Fury, hundreds of F-35 sorties penetrated Iranian airspace. Only one was hit. The aircraft that was hit sustained damage. It did not crash. The pilot survived with shrapnel wounds. The aircraft made a controlled emergency landing. That is not a catastrophic failure of stealth. That is a single aircraft damaged by a specific system that exploits a gap The F-35 was not optimized to close, but that gap is real, and it tells you something about where air combat is heading. For 30 years, air defense development ran in one direction: better radar, longer range, more sophisticated tracking. The American answer was stealth and electronic warfare. Reduce the radar cross-section. Jam what gets through. Suppress the radar before it can track. It worked. It still works. The infrared track does not fit that answer. You cannot jam a system that does not transmit. You cannot suppress a radar that does not exist. The HARM missile that hunts radar emissions has nothing to home on when the tracking system is passive and optical. The electronic warfare suite that listens for radar frequencies hears nothing from a system that emits nothing. The answer to an infrared threat is different. Lower exhaust temperatures, better heat shielding, operational tactics that reduce exposure time in the terminal threat zone. The B-21 Raider incorporates more aggressive infrared signature management than the F-35. Future aircraft will do the same. But the F-35 fleet flying today was optimized for the radar threat that dominated the battle space when it was designed. Iran was not the first adversary to understand this gap. It was the first to successfully employ it against an F-35 in combat. After the March 19th incident, the United States and Israel reduced deep penetration strikes into Iran's interior while the threat picture was reassessed. That tactical adjustment is itself a data point. A single damaged aircraft did not change the outcome of the air campaign. It changed the risk calculus for future sorties. And changing the risk calculus is exactly what Iran needed to accomplish. The F-35 is still the most capable fighter jet in the world. Over 3 weeks of the most intense air campaign in 20 years, it performed exactly as designed. It suppressed air defenses, prosecuted targets, and survived a threat environment that would have been catastrophic for any previous generation aircraft. One aircraft was hit by a system that bypassed the specific capability the F-35 was optimized to provide. That is not a failure of the aircraft. That is a reminder that no platform defeats every threat simultaneously. Stealth beats radar. Iran found what stealth does not beat, and that equation is now written into the design specifications of every aircraft that comes next. There is one more layer to this that nobody in the mainstream press is explaining. Iran did not just find the F-35's weakness. Iran publicized it. The IRGC released footage of the intercept within hours. The video spread across every platform, tens of millions of views. The strategic purpose was not to prove the aircraft was destroyed. It was to impose doubt, to make every F-35 pilot recalculate, to make every mission planner add an extra variable to the threat model, to make the aircraft that had been flying with near impunity over Iranian airspace for 3 weeks suddenly feel less certain about its own survival. That is the asymmetric value of a single damaged aircraft, not the aircraft itself, the psychology around it. CENTCOM pushed back immediately. More than 8,000 combat flights. No U.S. fighter aircraft shot down by Iran. The F-35 landed safely. The pilot is in stable condition. All of that is true. And Iran's tactical achievement remained real at the same time. Both things can be true. The question that the March 19th incident leaves open is not whether the F-35 is still the best fighter jet in the world. It is. The question is what the adversaries who studied this event are building right now in facilities the F-35 has not yet found to make the next infrared intercept less of a single incident and more of a pattern. Stealth is not dead, but it has a known address, and that address is in the infrared spectrum.